The main suspect in the Berlin Christmas market massacre is shot dead in Italy after a 5-day manhunt and a nighttime shootout with a patrol officer. A Libyan passenger plane lands in the island of Malta after reportedly being hijacked by 2 armed men. And President Putin addresses the future of U.S. Russia relations, Syria, and other hot international topics in his marathon end-of-the-year Q&A with the media. You're watching IT International, coming to you live from Moscow. I'm Marina Joshi. Welcome to the program. Well, the main suspect in the Berlin Christmas market truck terror attack has been killed in Italy after a 5-day manhunt. Our correspondent Peter Oliver joins us now from the German capital. Hello there, Peter. So what more can you tell us about what happened?
Hello. Well, the news coming out of Italy today says that Anis Amri, the main suspect, who reportedly drove that truck into the Christmas market here in Berlin on Monday evening, killing 12 people, injuring many, many more, was shot dead by an Italian police officer at around 3 a.m. local time. Now, that's according to the Italian Interior Minister, Marco Minniti. He gave a press conference earlier today in which he talked through exactly what had happened. He said that an Italian patrol officer had asked a man meeting Amri's description to produce his ID papers. That man then produced a weapon and shot the police officer. The officer returned fire, killing Amri. Now, that police officer, it seems, was wounded in the shoulder, according to some pictures that have come out on social media. They show him seemingly well, considering, in his hospital bed. He has received phone calls from the Italian Interior Minister, also the Italian Prime Minister, thanking him for his service. But yes, it seems that at 3 a.m. Amri was shot dead. We can hear what the Interior Minister had to say right now.
The person killed is beyond any doubt Anis Amri, the suspect of the terror attack in Berlin.
Well, we're also hearing a little bit about just how Amri may have got to Italy. It's a lot of it is speculation at the moment. There's some suggestions he may have taken a train straight from Germany to Milan, but that's a 24-hour journey. How would he have been able to do it while, as we understand, potentially wounded, and also the most wanted man in Europe? The other suggestion, which came from the Milanese security chief, was that he took a train to Chambéry in France, then from there went to Turin, then on to Italy. We were waiting for more information on that. But while we've been hearing confirmation from the Italian side that the man shot dead on Friday morning was Amri, we haven't heard such confirmation yet from the German side. They say they're almost 100% sure it is him. This is basically them just saying they want their own independent investigation to take confirmation to take place. But we heard very cagey press conferences from the Interior Ministry earlier this morning. Some questions they just refused to answer over just how this was able to happen, how Amri was essentially able to plot, carry out and then escape from this terrible attack that took place on Monday evening. Huge questions still hang over how he was able to do that, and there's also huge questions for the security services here in Germany, because since it was announced on Wednesday that he was the main suspect, we've realised we know so much about who this 24-year-old Tunisian actually was. He wasn't just well known to police and security services, he was very high on their radar. The German side have him meeting with Islamic extremist groups here in Germany. They also put him alongside Abu Wallah, who's described as the main ISIS recruiter here in Germany, Wallah, who was arrested in November of this year. We also know that he entered Italy back in 2011 during the Arab Spring. He spent time in Lampedusa, he spent time in prisons in Italy, and then he applied for asylum here. He was denied that asylum application, and he was given one of these visas that essentially lets him stay here in Germany until he can be deported. Know so much about him from the German side, but also from the US side as well. American intelligence had him on their radar. They had him for searching how to create homemade explosives online. Also, they have him contacting known ISIS figures using a messaging service, and he was even on a US no-fly list. So the questions are going to be, now it seems almost certain that Amri is dead, is how he was able to carry out this heinous attack in which 12 people were killed and many more injured at that Christmas market here in Berlin.
It's incredible how a person with such a criminal record could get away and get off the raiders there. Well, Peter, thanks so much for bringing us up to date on the story. Peter Oliver, live from Berlin. Now, Anis Amri appeared to have had quite a history of criminal activity, as you've just heard. Well, let's have a look at some of what's happened in the past. Anis Amri left his home country, Tunisia, back in 2011, where he was convicted in absentia for stealing a car and sentenced to 5 years in prison. He then traveled to Italy, and there he was arrested and jailed for 4 years for starting a fire, damaging property, and making threats. In 2015, the Berlin attack, Suspek entered Germany. He was under police surveillance from March till September in 2016, having been branded as a potential threat. And then, of course, in December came the attack. Meanwhile, it's been reported that 2 men were detained in Germany in the early hours of Friday, suspected of preparing a terrorist attack on a shopping center in a city near the Dutch border. But it's not just Germany that's under the threat. British security sources report that a significant plot inspired by Islamic State has been foiled. One aimed at attacking crowded shopping centers in the run-up to Christmas. The former head of the UK's National Counter-Terrorism Office, Chris Phillips, told us that Britain remains highly vulnerable to terror attacks right now.
The threat level in the UK has not changed. We should always be alert. This could have just as easily have been in the UK, so it's important that the people of the UK and the people of the rest of the world actually all do the same thing, and that's be vigilant, understand where they are and their circumstances and their escape routes if they need to. Well, of course, terrorism comes in many forms, and this actually is, you know, you'd like to say, actually a fairly simple methodology to kill people and a very simple method of attack. You do get copycat attacks for sure, and this, I believe, is very much a copycat attack of the incident in Nice. However, people in within ISIS have called for these types of attacks because they know they can claim any attack like this, they can claim that is their own. As soon as a person gets hold of a weapon, actually, whether it's a gun, a knife or a truck in this instance, it's very difficult to stop them from committing that act. You're then in a position of trying to reduce the number of casualties. The time that you actually stop them in the first place is when they become radicalised, when they're radicalising themselves on the internet, or they're returning back from Syria in order to commit these acts. So that's our best way of stopping terrorist attacks. What I would say, the German police are going to be very upset with themselves that they didn't manage to find these details very quickly and get onto this guy, because now they've got another terrorist attack that they're probably going to have to deal with in the short term.